one foot in front of the other. Just keep going. Because what's the alternative? The alternative is to curl up in a fetal position and give up, or go back to a 9 to 5, which I could never have done. For me personally, there was never an alternative. This was it. I was going to be creative or bloody well die trying,
And I think also, when you're in that space, in that space of gratitude, you're in that space of your tūpuna, I would suggest that follow the blessings.
On today's show, I'm joined by Lissy and Rudi Robinson-Cole, a husband and wife creative duo from Aotearoa, united by their love of crochet. Their creative journey is more than just creating art, though. It's a celebration of love, life, and joy in full living colour. Kia ora, kōrua, welcome. How are we today?
Oh, kia ora sa, we're choice. We're good.
We're millionaires. Yeah.
Sun shining. We live another day.
Yeah.
All is well.
And how can you not be happy when you're wearing that wonderful shirt there? Take us back to the start of your journey, because every story's got a start, middle, and end. The start of your creative journey, was there a moment when you knew it started, or did it grow over time?
We met, so Rudi and I met 10 years ago in 2014. We'd both had lives and family, kids separately, and we came together, and pretty quickly, I remember one day I was cooking and I broke my favourite wooden spoon.
I can get it.
And anyway, I was like, I've broken my wooden spoon. Anyway, the next minute he runs out and I can hear tick, 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 tick. He comes back in, ba-dum, with a wooden spoon made out of maire rako. And he'd carved little angel wings in it, in the top, just like these little angel wings. And I think I actually made a Facebook post. This is when I was still in my 9 to 5. But I'm pretty sure I made a post on Facebook to say, one day Rudi and I are going to have a shop or do something, and the shop's going to be called Anahira, and it's going to be this and that. So pretty early on in our relationship, we saw that we were both really creative, but really differently so. Rudi, who's worked with hard materials, metals predominantly, and me working with textiles. And so we kept thinking, how could we combine the hard and the soft?
Rudi, I want to interrupt you there, because I know there's always two sides to a story, brother. Is that how you read the room?
Yeah. I gotta get in there. Otherwise I can't.
Yeah, I tell him. So
get in there. I gotta do that.
You're just gonna start talking, otherwise he won't get a chance.
Actually, we were talking about this yesterday. My wife had a dream that I was going to be a famous New Zealand artist, and she woke up and she goes, "You're going to be an artist," and I'm like, "Wait."
No, I said, "You're going to be a famous." No, actually, this was very, very early on when we met. Yeah. And in my dream, I have a very profound dream life. I've had incredible dreams, as in my nighttime dream life. And in this dream, God actually came to me and said to me, Rudi was going to be a famous New Zealand artist. And I woke up and I was so excited. I was like, "Oh yes, you're going to be a famous New Zealand artist! Yay! Because I don't want to do this job anymore! Yay!"
And I'm a welder. I'm in my.
He was doing his
welding and this and that, and I'm thinking, how am I going to be a famous New Zealand artist? But here we are. Making that. Yeah, here we are. Ta-da!
Here we are. And then I would just say that the next really powerful, pivotal moment was in preparation for our wedding. I'd left my 9 to 5 to pursue what I knew was my soul's calling, and that is creativity. But I didn't know how I could sustain myself. But anyway, I was on my mission, and we were working. Rudi had taken a day off work, and he was outside carving some cheese platters, and I was in my sewing room sewing bunting for the wedding. We made everything for the wedding because we just got married here at home. But I said to him, the feeling of joy in us two being creative together for this higher purpose of our wedding was so intense. And I said, quick. It's all about the feeling. We've got to send this feeling up. We've got to send this feeling up into the world, because it's all about the feeling. And so we sat on our little back porch here. We held hands and we just said a real simple karakia that this is how we wanted to live our life, full-time, sustaining ourselves financially.
Boom.
Mauri ora.
And then you can almost see the whistles go woo, up into the sky. And then we're like, okay, let's get back to it.
Back to work.
Back to,
Get back to your
we got a
account.
wedding to, we got a wedding to
Because
do.
I want to touch on that, because a lot of the times as creatives, people think it's all, it's all sweet as, and it does have its challenges. But from that first moment when you're thinking about becoming a creative, you're not usually thinking about money side of things, making it, work. You just do it because you're passionate and you love it.
Well, no, I was thinking about how on earth can we make a living? Because, we live in Auckland, our rents are horrific. So I was always, how can I fulfill my soul's calling and at the same time sustain ourselves financially? How can we do that? Because literally I had $20. And Rudi was still working at that point. So, but still I had no money. And so I had to really, really, really give over to the inner truth that I knew that if I was following this calling deep in my heart, deep in my wairua, that somehow, some way, a way would be made. But we also every day would karakia that a way would be made. Every day, we would just, every morning when we woke up, we'd hold hands and we have a little pray and say, please, tupuna, make a way for us. Make a way, make a way. And so we, it was a really natural and gentle journey, but it was a fearful journey because we didn't know. How can we sustain ourselves?
Right.
What was it like for you, Rudi? Because, it's a partnership, you're a creative duo, but...
Well, I made the jump in 2020. 2020, lockdown, COVID, and then
he was like, I'm going to quit my job. And I was like, no, you can't. You're part of it.
Hey, we've only got 10 weeks, so we better do something fast.
No, but when I quit my job, Rudi was like 100% supportive. Like, he's like, yeah. Like, Rudi is a yes person. If I said to Rudi, let's go and live in Mexico for a year, he'd be like, yeah, cool, let's go.
Hey, hola.
Did you find that pressure then helped you just knuckle down and stay focused on, like, I've got to make this creative career work? Because if I don't, I'm getting booted out of my house.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, though, deep within our both of us, individually and together, we knew there was just the sense of knowing that we were on a spiritual journey with our tupuna, that all would be well. All would be well. We had to trust that, like 1,000,000% we had to trust it. And I had to work on my own money issues too, which I was always afraid of never having enough money and being destitute. So I came from a really scarcity way of thinking. And it wasn't until a friend really pointed it out and really helped us to see that, that money and comes from the same source as everything else. It is just a form of energy.
Get this, she said to us that you have that the same source.
Yeah.
The same source that you have your creativity is an infinite source, right? So, money is the same thing. It comes from that infinite source.
Well, it's just an energy.
It's an energy, yes.
But anyway, that was a game changer. As soon as she said that, it helped me. It helped to relieve my fears, because we know that the creativity comes from an abundant well source, and we were living our truth.
So the tips and tricks for people out there who are in that stage right now where they are fearful, where they've got this abundance of creativity, but they're too whakamā to go out there and just do it. Because I look at you two and you're just like doing it, you're living it, you're breathing it. But for people out there who are just on the cusp, and they maybe need a little bit more push, what advice would you give to them to get them to cross that line?
Also what I did in my work is that I said to my work, I want to have one day where I'm fully creative. And that was, I worked a 5-day, 5-day work, but I worked it in 4 days type thing. So that extra day was also that time where we can work on our creativity, work on our art together, and that gave us to see, oh yeah, we can. Yeah.
I think too, just being, we don't know when we're going to transcend. That is really the biggest driving force in my life, is knowing at any moment this humanly experience could be over. So that is definitely been a driving force in taking chances, grabbing opportunities, believing in my inner truth. And I would say to people that, I just say, because we've been there. I've been there with my $20 in my pocket and having to leave a job with absolutely nothing to go to except for this deep inner yearning to be a creative. And I just say, at the end of the day, when all is said and done, you will never regret it. I mean, I was always like, oh well, to me, the worst thing that could ever happen was that I'd have to go back to a 9-to-5, but I am unemployable. I could not work for anybody else. No way, no how, no way, no how.
Hey, let's go out to the car park, mate.
I don't tolerate idiots, and my vision is so strong that there's no way I can follow anybody else's.
Because there'll be people out there working that 9-to-5 right now who have this creative passion, this little desire burning in their whaku. How do you convince them, or what are some of the things they need to do to go out and pursue that creative ambition that they have? Because I love what you said, Rudi, about working 4 days a week and having that one day where you can be creative. But what are some of the tips and tricks you've seen, Lissy, that have helped make people to make that transition from the 9-to-5 into the creative scene?
Because you see, Rudi, this is where we're different. I'm all or nothing. One day I'm working, next day I'm not. Rudi's got this whole plan. I'm going to do this and this and this. So, and that's why we work, because we're so different in our approach to everything. I'm all about just go big or go home. Just bloody well do it. Okay, sure. First of all, Rudi was working. So I did have that safety net, even though I hated being dependent again financially on a man, because I'd left a marriage to be financially independent. So it was a huge decision to leave all of that, to be dependent and have no idea how to sustain myself financially through my creativity. So I had to make that decision, and I did it. Then Rudi, when Rudi proclaimed he was leaving his job, it was like, oh my God, I was so terrified.
My cousin, I told my cousin, she's an accountant. Rudi, what are you doing? You got a full-time job. It's a bloody position at the moment, bang.
Oh, exactly. But anywho, we knew we'd be all right, and we are.
Oh, we are.
So it's hard, because if someone's sitting there watching this, sorry, we're all over the place. But anyway, if you're watching and you're thinking, I want to do this, first of all, I'd say, man, we're all about, I have been a really big thingy about writing affirmations and plastering them all over the house. And I did these affirmations when I was at my lowest, when I was at my brokest, but I've always had an element of hope in my life. I've always felt really hopeful. So I wrote all these affirmations, and I just trusted my inner guidance, which is my relationship to my wairua, which is my relationship to tupuna, to all the forces.
I think it might be helpful to go into your local arts centre. Go to your local arts centre and be a part of a community. Because what's stopping you is income. You're seeing things turn over. So we got our first lot of funding through our local board,
the Creative Communities Scheme.
Yeah,
that's how I started. Getting a little bit of funding.
They lit the fire. You could see there was a feature in here. There's money to be made.
It was a little bit of money, but it might as well have been $1 million to me, because to go from nothing to having a little bit of money that got us into our neighborhood, and it got us. It helped our getting that Creative Communities Scheme funding helped us to for our kaupapa to slowly and gently evolve.
Yeah.
So Rudi, that's good. That's a good point, Rudi. Max, hook up with other creatives who are doing it. I mean, come and visit us. Give us a bell on Insta, Lissy and Rudi. it's just around being around the right energy too. Like there are so many people that want to stomp all over your dream, and there are so many people that want to just go, yay, go for it, go for it, go for it. And you want to be around those people that are like, do it, do it, do it, go for it, go for it. How can we help? What can we do? Can we help you write your funding application?
Yeah.
You know, it's for, you know, funding. Oh, you know, writing those applications for a creative is a nightmare, but you get your mates and you get the people that can help
And maybe be a part of what's happening in your community. Because that's what we did. You know, we started going back and doing crochet workshops at our local library. You know, and people would come along to do our workshops. We started off being at different community events. So, you know, you're being seen, and then start, you know, network as well.
Don't underestimate that, the networking, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
But one thing I really want to touch on, Lissy, you mentioned before about the affirmations, and when you're at your brokest, when you're at your lowest, can you take us back to that time, like one of the time you remember where you were just thinking massive self-doubt, and how you managed to pull yourself out? Was there an affirmation, or was there a karakia to your tipuna that you had? What was something? Take us back to that dark space you're at, and how did you manage to get yourself out of it?
Because there was, you know, I'd spent about a year after I left my job just experimenting and trying to figure it out. But I've got a very strong connection to my tupuna and to a higher power. So I was always saying to people, I've got the most amazing marketing gurus in the whole universe, my tupuna. And I really believed that they would connect me to the right people at the right time. So even in my lowest, and I remember I was sitting at my kitchen table and I was writing, I am well and earning money, doing what my heart is called to do. So affirmations like that, even though I was really afraid and I didn't know how it was going to be. And all I can say is, and I've got seven older sisters, and one of my sisters was living in France, and her and I quite similar, creative, but never been able to make an income. But so we would call each other to really encourage each other. And all we used to say to each other is just keep going, put one foot in front of the other, just keep going. Because what's the alternative? The alternative is to curl up in a fetal position and give up, or go back to a 9-to-5, which I could never have done. So there was, for me personally, there was never an alternative. This was it. I was going to be creative or bloody well die trying, you know.
And I think also, you know, when you're in that space, in that space of gratitude, you're in that space of your tupuna.
Yeah.
I would suggest that follow the blessings, and the blessings can be very simple.
And signs. I'm always asking for signs. Yeah. I'm always asking for reassurance. I say, tupuna, I need reassurance. Tupuna, I need a sign. I'm quite demanding, but they're happy to accommodate. And when you're looking for the signs, a sign comes. Yep. It just does. It really does. When you ask, it will come.
Even if it's just finding a 5-cent piece on the, like a 10-cent piece on the ground. Hey, your 10-cent switcher.
I love that. I love that mentality, gratitude. And when you come from a place of gratitude, better things happen. But for you, Rudi, is there a whakatauki, or is there something that you keep remembering or coming back to, I don't know, practice the gratitude, or just keep you on that pathway, keep you connected to make sure you stay on this creative journey?
Well, you know, it's through my whakapapa. You know, I whakapapa here to Ngāti Pāwa. You know, as we just went for our walks this morning, we say our karakia, we're in there, you know, taking in the sun, and then, you know, we're just being, we've been grateful for our whakapapa, and just going through that in our minds.
That whakatauki, whakaiti, that always inspires you too.
That's right. And then whakaiti just talks about how, you know, to humble yourself. You don't have to be, you know, the one up front all the time. Yeah, and just be humbled in yourself. So
I remember one of the great messages I ever heard from Lauli Michael Jones, and we were talking about how we gather in a Polynesian setting and a Samoan setting. He said, when you walk into a room, sit at the back, because it's always better to sit at the back and be asked to come to the front rather than sit at the front and be told to go sit at the back.
Yes.
So I want to talk about being Māori and being creative, because Māori have so many rich stories and histories and traditions as Indigenous creators. How do you draw inspiration from that for other young Indigenous artists out there who have got their culture as well as this creative side? Is it a balancing act, or do you embrace it? How do you walk those two worlds? Do they become one? Because you two have done it so beautifully well.
Well, I think we're actively amongst our people, with our rangatahi, with our older ones. So we're actively always out and about doing stuff, and connecting up with different people. So so next weekend I'm off down to Taranaki. So me and my daughter, we're going to go down there for wānanga. And then we're going to catch up with a few other creatives, young carvers, and then, just to keep those connections healthy. That's a good way.
But but it wasn't, like Rudi and I have had really different upbringings. Rudi was brought up in Kaingaroa. Both his parents are Māori. I grew up here in Tāmaki in Mount Eden, Pākehā dad, Māori mother, and my mother was that first generation to lose the reo. So, reimagining and reclaiming our identity as Māori has been, and obviously it will continues to be, an intense journey. And and so I understand how fraught it can be to express who we are as Māori creatively, because there are lots of critics, and and in your own whānau too, may I say, there can be very many.
Often the harshest.
Yeah. And so if you can survive that, doesn't matter what anybody else says. But, doing this journey with our whare, it's strengthening us and growing us and transforming us. And, what I think now is nobody, and I mean nobody, has a right to tell you what to do and how to do it. They may offer advice, and we are surrounded by incredible people who are really wise and know more than us, and help and guide us and help us. But nobody knows my journey with my tupuna. That's between me and them. And same with Rudi.
That's 100% true, eh?
Yeah.
And what are your coping? How do you deal with the critics, Rudi? Because it's all good doing what you're doing, all good doing the mahi, and when the good times are good, they're great. But when people are bagging you and slacking you off, especially when you start out or even when you're having a bit of success, people start to look at you and you thought they were your friends, but now they want to bring you down. How do you deal with all the criticism out there in the creative industry? Do you just keep persevering, or do you have techniques?
I think you get used to, because when you're an artist, everything that you make is like putting your heart on a plate. And for people to give you good, feedback or bad feedback, so you've got to learn to take it both ways, and let it not get to you, But a good question is, hey, you guys haven't been on the front line waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do the mahi. You guys haven't been, what do you do? You guys aren't awake at 3 o'clock at night still thinking of how I'm going to do things, and 3 years of it. Yeah. Were not.
How do you keep that motivation up then? Because when you are doing those early starts, when you're out grinding, a lot of stuff that people don't see on the outside, right? You're thinking, people don't think you're doing any work, but there's a lot of stuff going on up here. Yeah. How do you keep going?
That's the exciting bit, though. Yeah. Because you're in that flow of creativity, and I'm super Māori fella.
Well, and the vision of the whare was so intensely strong. So, of course, with every piece that we were creating, it was coming more and more and more into this realm. So it was exciting. it was exciting. It was a pleasure to get up every day and bring this whare into this realm. I mean, just going back to that last little point too, I have to say we've had an absolutely overwhelming amount of support for what we do. The criticism mainly has come from within the whānau, and that, as devastating as it was, has absolutely 100% strengthened me, and has strengthened my own understanding of, or my own fear of thinking I didn't know enough of what it was to be Māori, which was such a lie. And I know exactly what it takes. I know exactly, because I have my connection to my wairua and my tupuna. So yeah,
Right.
and like Rudi said, anyone who criticizes, well, yeah, were you there every single day for 3 years? Were you? No. So, but also we, as a creative too, we can only all do what we are called to do, and then we just stand by it. So we stand by what we do. We stand by our kaupapa. We live our kaupapa. It's not something separate to us. Our kaupapa is us. We are our kaupapa, and we live, breathe, eat it every single day.
And so, going back to your other question, for how we, for our taha Māori side, for us on our journey, it has been a privilege for us to wear moko.
That's been a part of our journey.
That has been a really, integral part of our journey, to connect back to our whānau. And
Because
actually,
whānau is everything, a connection. For Māori, for people on the outside might not realise, it's all about where you whakapapa to and connecting. And I love it how you incorporate that. But, deep down inside, and you talked about wairua before, everyone's got a why, and I want to know what drives you guys. Because you could have picked a 9-to-5 job, you could have picked something steady, guaranteed income regardless of how many hours you put in during the week, but decided deliberately to go down this route, which is fraught with a lot of unknowns. But what is your why? At the core of your wairua, the inside of you, what made you choose this creative path?
it's aroha. Yeah.
It is, yeah. Because we know we are the conduits. We are the conduits of love, of aroha, of our tupuna, of all the forces out there that are with us. We are the conduits, and it is our job, I believe, as human beings, to connect into that truth, which is a universal truth, which is we are all vessels of love. How we express that, though, is the journey that every human goes on. How we express that unique expression of aroha, and that's why we feel so blessed that our little hands were chosen to express this very unique expression of love through crochet. And that's why all thanks to our tupuna, and that's what drives us, and that's our why, as well as our why too being our mokopuna and our descendants to come, So it's all of that, as well as this life is magical, it's wonderful, it's a blessing, it's a gift, and it's fleeting. So let's just, I mean, a 9-to-5 is where people are in jobs that are sucking their very souls, is not what we were created to be. We're all creative beings, where everyone's sucked into this freaky way of living. And when you can pull the curtains back and see what an illusion most of it is, and that it's fleeting, people. It's fleeting, like that, it's over. So yeah, those are the really deep whys and drivers for us.
I want to quickly touch on social media, because that's another avenue where you can communicate, you can get your kōrero across, you can talk about kaupapa that you're keen. A lot of creative artists these days are using social media as well to reach audiences. For you, you've got quite a few following, and you're really into, tikanga, you're really hearty in that regards. How do you manage the numbers and social media and the commentary and I guess all the criticism and text wars going back and forth? How do you manage social media?
Yeah, It's we don't really have a strategy at all. We just post whenever we feel like posting, and we're just ourselves. And if the very rare time someone might say something that is not good, they're like blocked, deleted, gone. I don't muck around there. But when I see on other people's pages and like you say, the keyboard warriors coming out, man, it's freaky. But it's also been really, really helpful, I have to say. Social media has given us great exposure and has it's been good. It's like, it's a double-edged sword, really, social media. It's great you can be reaching people across the world, and then you can also, get people that aren't very nice. But thankfully, we haven't really come across those ones yet. But like I say, if I did, it's like delete, block.
Because, for us, we don't want to take on that negative energy.
No.
Because it stops our creative flow. So we want to maintain for us to be open to do this infinite source of creativity.
Yeah.
And we don't
share
want
it.
and share it, but we don't at the same time we don't want anyone to be able to block it
or thwart it. Try and thwart it, but they can't anyway.
You can't stop the wairua, eh?
No.
The wairua is like a river. It doesn't matter what you do, it's going to keep flowing, eh?
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And if someone throws a rock in your way, you'll swim around it.
I've got a quick Q&A here that just quick fire questions. I'm just going to ask them so we can just go one after the other. So Rudi, I'll start with you, and then Lissy, you can jump in. But the first question, what are the different ways you have gotten your revenue? So how are you making a living?
Yep. So we have our websites, we have merchandising, we also do commission work, or we'll go and do workshops. What else? Funding. Yep.
Awesome. All right. Next question. What planning do you do? And I'm looking at you, Rudi, and I'm thinking you probably don't do any, but look, we'll see. What planning do you do, and who helps you stay on track? Like, do you have someone you're accountable to?
I think, like, if we've got a big project on, we actually stay accountable to each other. And we always say, okay, we've got a time frame. We need to get this done. And we're really good when it comes to keeping to time frames and that.
Rudi is like he's a planner. He writes everything down. He has planned to within an inch of his life. And also we work with my daughter. She is our project lead. So without her assistance, like administration, all of that, I'd be in a fetal position. And but yeah, Rudi and I, we're really efficient. We're really quick at what we do. We don't muck around. We always stick to timetables. We are never late. And these are the things that are really important to us. So yeah, we're really onto it with what we know we have to do.
Love it. What does your planning look like? Do you have big whiteboards up? Do you have little pieces of paper? Are you on the computer? Is it digital? Is it hard copy?
Yeah, Rudi's hard copy guy.
Yeah. Hey, but when we first started this kaupapa o wharenui harikoa, it was a whiteboard, and it wrote down everything that we're doing. But and then hey, people would say, that's the magic whiteboard that made it all happen. No one saw the vision, but the whiteboard did.
But he's got
I love your style, Rudi.
Yeah, and he's got heaps of notebooks, heaps of notebooks that he's forever writing in. I don't write a thing down. I've got no interest in writing.
Yin and yang, I love it. As creatives, do you guys experience any moments of self-doubt or imposter syndrome where you're thinking, oh, geez, are they really calling me up to the stage to talk about this, speak about this kōrero?
Not anymore. No, because and I'm saying that not in a up myself way at all. No, it is an honouring of our gifts. We know that what we've got is a tupuna gift, and we're trying to honour it as best we can. And the doubt more is really in because every single day we have to trust our tupuna. And so that's when sometimes the fear wants to creep in when they're not being extremely quick with their instructions for what's next. And
Still
we
on
have to
dial
just
up.
be like, we're just waiting for the sign, waiting for the next command.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, I don't think we feel like we're not worthy or we're not. No, we are so blessed, and we want to honor the gifts that we've been given.
And that's for creatives, for other artists that they might get into that stage. I just encourage them just to say to themselves, "You are the expert."
Yeah, and I haven't always felt like that.
Yeah.
Like that is a journey, and sometimes there've been people in our lives that have like wanting to undermine, and so you just have to be aware of those energies and stay well clear, and just trust your own knowing, and everybody. I mean, nobody can do what anyone can do. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's got their unique point of view.
Sage advice. Sage advice. How have you juggled your pursuit to create your art, and how do you make it financially viable?
So we have an Auckland living tax on top of our work.
Amen. That's true.
Yeah.
Look, it's through because we're trying to figure out all the different ways to make money. The funding obviously is a big one. We need the funding for now, but boy, we've put strong intentions out there. Our dream is that we'll never need funding because we're making income from what we're doing, enough income, more than enough income to live. So it is all faith. That's how we juggle. Everything is through the faith of knowing that what we're doing is a tupuna-led journey, and it's up to them how we're going to live and shine their love and light out into the world. So that's really the crux of every single thing that we do, is this deep faith in this journey that we're on. And money comes, money goes, but it's about the impact we're making through this mahi and connecting to other human beings.
Yep.
And sharing that and sharing those gifts that we've been given to the world. So we just trust that the money comes, and it does. Right when you think all is lost and oh my God, a cliffhanger, boom, something happens. Yeah.
It's your tipuna, eh? It's the rock. That's the grounding. I love it. Love it. What advice would you give to other aspiring artists just starting their creative journeys? If they're just on the cusp of their creative path, what advice would you give to them? Best advice?
Oh, just do it. Surround yourself with amazing people. So go and find some other creative friends. Have fun.
Have fun, yeah.
Like, have fun.
Yeah.
Find yourself some cool creatives to like that are maybe at a, reach out to people, the ones that you admire. Say, hey, can I come and have a cup of tea with you? Can I just come and have a kōrero with you? To see how they're doing it. How do you do it? I remember saying that to a great friend of mine. This was years ago, like 10, 12 years ago. I said, how are you doing it? He was all over the world doing his mahi, and he just said, Liz, just keep doing what you're doing, and one day people will know, will see what you're doing. Just don't give up and keep going.
Keep going.
And that was really good advice.
Is that the same for you, Rudi?
Yeah. And hey, it's just like I was saying, everything that you put out there, it's with your love. It's the intention of, your light. My light within me is shining out through that piece.
Yeah.
And people feel that.
Yeah, they do.
People feel that, and then, like Liz was saying, they get to know you and what you're doing. And I guess that we're so fortunate that what we do, we're the only ones in this whole entire world that do it. So, but yeah. Hey.
I love it. Lastly, I want to know your aha moments. Was there a moment you can pinpoint back in time where you realize, the mahi is paying off, the grind is paying off? Like we finally got to that moment where you can put your hand on your heart and say, yep, this was worth it. That aha moment in your creative journey.
Definitely when we completed making Whare Harikoa.
When Jody come through the Jody Ihaka come through the Whare Nui, and she was doing some filming. I think that weekend before that we had a whānau blessing, and we had probably about about 70 to 80 of our whānau, all in the wharenui. But then Jody come through. Things had changed in the wharenui. It was more intense. So that was that moment. There was like,
but there's been heaps. There's been so many profound moments along this journey. Untold moments. That's how we know that this is a tupuna-led journey, because this is not of us. This is so much bigger than Rudi and I, and we knew it right from the word go. It was evident. It was just evident, and that's why we just, that's what keeps us going, is that deep connection and relationship we have in that spirit world. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Korua. Really appreciate your time and sharing your insights and knowledge. Yeah, just really well-grounded and a beautiful kōrero. So thank you so much for joining us on The Big Idea. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
And just love all you creatives. Just sending everybody big hugs, big loves for the journey.
Yep. All right. Mauri ora.
Mauri ora.